got a Christmas tree. I was just like playing with my phone while that played, and I looked up and you were dancing with that Christmas tree. That gave me life. I enjoy that.
It's a good time.
It is a good time. So it is like my breakfast time. So I have a fake margarita.
I love it.
Because this is like a sort of celebratory, it's like one of those kinds of
yes
chatty things.
Yes. I agree. Happy holidays.
Yes. So we're gonna have a fake margarita. Pretend I'm drinking. I'm still really hungry, even though I had breakfast, but
wow. What time was breakfast? 30 minutes ago? An hour ago?
About an hour ago.
Yeah.
I was posting books to Pango because you can't get to my laundry room. Well, you can get to my laundry room, but like I wouldn't have let guests go to my laundry room.
Right.
Because of how many books are sort of piled up in the way that need to go on Pango. So, and we have somebody coming next week to clean out the dryer vent. So
make a trail, get these books out the way. Yeah.
So, that's what I'm doing.
I love it.
Hopefully your camera behaves tonight.
Yeah. Things are dying and it's not cool. It's not cool. I'm not ready to make a big purchase. Okay. Not cool at all.
Can you, because I can do that with my laptop. I know my laptop is newer than yours. It's no longer, I wouldn't consider it new, but it's newer than yours.
Yeah.
Can you use an old iPhone to connect to it and use that as a webcam? Because I can do that with mine.
I don't have an old iPhone. I just switched to iPhone like when I got this iPhone. I was a long time Android user until my family made me make the switch.
I'm out of ideas.
It's all good. It's all good, man. I'm just gonna have to like do the thing.
Because sometimes I use my old iPhone and it's a better camera than this webcam, but I'm too lazy to set up the iPhone.
Yeah, I just got confused with what I was doing over here with my setup. I am having a time, I'll tell you that.
You are. I felt like this is what happens. You were early.
Right?
You were early to behind the scenes.
I was early last week too, and all mayhem, just like, bleh. Yeah.
You're not my early girl. Usually you're like, Alyssa, I need a few minutes.
Right. Maybe I need to like go back to doing that.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe
jinx
like,
myself.
Yeah, you're breaking your normal juju. Like,
yeah.
The vibes are off.
The vibes are totally off.
I want to show you something. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I thought I had a ghost last time because it was like, what is going on?
I think you did have a ghost last time. Maybe they're back.
No, stay away. Get out of here.
One of the residents came up to me the other night while we were working, and like I was like all the way in the very back of the unit, like I'm kind of like far away from everybody, like in my own little corner, and he's like, Alyssa, did you hear like whistling? It's some theme song. I'm like,
no, sir, I did not. No, sure didn't.
It's like, did the ghosts get to you? And he's like, stop gaslighting me. There's no ghost. I was like, you don't know that. Night shift. A lot of people die there.
Okay.
The ghosts come out and play. Sometimes I hear screams.
Right. Don't count it out so easily.
We hear things. We all have a story on night shift, let me tell you.
Oh, I bet you all do. And I only want to hear them in the daytime.
It was actually coming from someone's television on the other side of the unit, but I was like, you walked all the way over here and asked me this question, and now you're mad at me because you thought like I was gaslighting you and telling you that there were ghosts. No,
right.
I heard nothing. There was nothing down this end, so if you're hearing whistling. But anyway, I wanted to show you a Christmas gift that arrived from a friend, because one of my book groups, we do a Secret Santa exchange, and well, along with another book, I got Paradise Rot, which will make you so happy. So now I will finally be able to commiserate, talk to, share the viscerally gross feeling that is Paradise Rot.
Such a great book. I mean, I can't wait for you to read that one. It is one of the books that I read in January, mind you, that is still heavily on my mind.
Ooh, okay. I'll get there. I'm trying to wrap a bunch of stuff up this month.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Really chaotic TBR.
Trying to wrap up stuff this month and also trying to get a jump on some of the January 2024 galleys. You're like, whatever, I'll get through it when I get through it. Yeah.
I know that's how Alyssa works on books.
Yeah. Like I want to start Martyr. And there's a couple others that I want to start.
Definitely do need to read Martyr soon because everybody I know really that has been reading it has been very impressed by it.
Yeah, and that's one of the books that we're going to be discussing next year. That's on our list.
Yeah. And then also James seems to be getting a lot of good reviews
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So. Like in my wild dreams of galley reading, I would like to start January reads this month and then January start February and March, April reads. Yeah. That's kind of what I was doing at the top of the year before the move threw me off.
Well, you take that time that I don't take between Christmas and New Year's. So you'll have some time to get some stuff done. But speaking of reading, what are you currently reading?
Holy crap.
That segue. It's like we know what we're doing.
Oh my goodness. Listen, let me tell you something. I read The People in the Trees by Hanya Yanagihara.
Oh, you finally read it? I've never read it. I don't even know.
I am unsettled and I am unnerved and
in a good way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I am bothered. Let me try to explain this book without spoiling things. We have a young doctor. Go ahead.
Sorry. Just does it do bad things to the bodies of gay men?
Mm-hmm.
She seems to have a theme. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So I want to like not spoil things, and also don't know if I can pronounce these things correctly. There's a young doctor named Norton. He goes to this forest, Evu. It's very weird. There was talk that there was some group of people there, right? And so he comes across this group of people and comes to find out that they live a really, really long time. I'm talking like hundreds of years. Okay. And it is his speculation that they live these hundreds of years because they ate the meat of this rare turtle. So he smuggles some of that turtle meat back to the States, and god damn it, and starts, I'm gonna keep talking, and he starts to work on his study or whatever to prove whether this is true or not. Over the years, he's granted the Nobel Peace Prize. What he also did was adopt a lot of the children that were in this group of people in this foresty area.
This is making me uncomfortable now.
You should be uncomfortable because there's a lot to say in this book about
is it a white man too? Because nothing good comes of white men going into jungles and adopting random children.
It's a lot to say about colonization and disrupting like ecological systems and taking something sacred from a quote unquote foreign land and bringing it back. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of things to be said about all of that. And then I think that you need a lot of patience with this book because like really in the beginning, you understand that bad things are going to happen. But Hanya is not going to just reveal them to you so early on. I mean, she's making you work for it. And when these things are finally uncovered, it is quite devastating. I just, it's one of those books where when you get to that, you just stare off into space like, I need a moment. I need a real moment. I need a minute because I don't even know how to process what I just read. It's extremely disturbing.
Why does Hana Yanagihara always want to make us like cringe or
I
cry
I
or
don't
just
know.
fall into a depressive spiral?
I don't know, because also, we hear about this man who won this Nobel Peace Prize, but now he's in jail, right? And so
Mhm.
all through this story, like things are like layer by layer, it's being, peeled away. And then when you finally like get the real story, it's like, well, holy crap. I mean, I j- I enjoyed this. I enjoyed feeling unsettled and disturbed, but that's kind of my jam. I cannot just like blanketly recommend this book to people. I just
Mm,
can't. You really got to figure out like how dark you want to go, baby. How dark you want to go. But I really like this book, The People in Trees by Hanya Yanahagara.
okay. I guess at some point I'm gonna have to actually
You keep
bite a
talking and I'm gonna
bullet
come out
and
and
read
come back
it.
in.
All
Yes,
right.
you keep
Well,
talking.
I'm gonna go through what I'm currently reading, and it's actually the Patreon pick that we extended out from um November and December. Sorry, my brain stopped working. And it is The Lives of the Wives, uh, which is a nonfiction book that chronicles 5 different literary wives and their relationships with their husbands. And hey, talking about Lives of the
Oh,
Wives.
that's in my Amazon.
That, huh?
That's in my Amazon card.
Oh, it's very good. You should get it. So I think what I'm maybe halfway through it. And I'm really enjoying learning more about some authors that I don't. Well, okay, so far I know both of the authors that I've read, but I'm learning more about their lives. But then there's 2 authors I've never really heard of, and then there's like Roald Dahl and his wife,
Hmm.
and it's very interesting. I think after reading Wifedom, I just wanted more about literary wives because I think
Hmm.
that I mean it seems to be like my theme of reading for the year is this the job of wife and what it means to be a wife and how you give up your identity in a lot of ways. So the I'm actually reading which you will probably like because it's like a giant family saga,
Hmm.
Liars and
And sorcery?
Sorcery. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that author, Morante, I'm gonna say the name's all wrong because I just am because it's me. Yes, Elsa Morante. So she, her section is a lot of like, yes, she doesn't sound like the best partner in the world herself. Her husband's also a writer, but
Hmm.
she is also spending like a lot of the reasons why I think people find her very difficult uh, to talk to, I guess, like in her normal life or in normal interactions, it seems like it's because she's pushing back on that idea of like she is just a wife or like her identity is in relation to her husband. So she
Hmm.
doesn't want to be introduced as Mrs. her husband's last name. She doesn't want to
Yes.
be known as like a really great woman writer. She wants to stand on her own. She wants to have an identity that's separate than being a wife. And I think there's a lot of that I just enjoying that discourse, I guess, basically. And it
Yeah.
does come up in some of these. The other pairing that I've only read the first 2 couples, and the other one is Radcliffe Hall and her wife.
Hmm.
And Radcliffe Hall is dick.
Oh my. Oh my.
But yeah, no, it's very interesting. What I like is that this author hasn't picked like your big heavy hitters that we talk about all the time, like Hemingway and
Yeah.
Fitzgerald and all those people. I think the heaviest hitter she's got is Roald Dahl in here.
Yeah.
Um, but it's interesting, and but I still want to read about those people because but I think it's easier to read those people. But I think it shows how um like for creatives in particular, like if one of you is going to be this creative genius, the other person has to sacrifice a lot to of themselves to feed that genius. And so
Yeah.
some of it isn't having to do anything with like gender roles or being a wife in particular. But there is this women and wives tend to fall into this pattern more easily or more commonly, it seems,
Yes, of
than
course.
husbands do. So It's just interesting. It's very fascinating. It's making me want to read more books by obviously, I've read books by Roald Dahl because I was a
Mhm.
child. I'm reading Elsa Morante now. We've read The Well of Loneliness.
Mhm.
The other 2 couples who's I guess I could pick up the book and tell you, but anyway, I'm interested to see what they maybe with their books, read something from there too,
Yeah.
because it does make it like, reading the Elsa Morante and then going back to Lies and Sorcery, um, or liars and I can never get it right. We keep making fun of it. We're like lemons and scones. Uh, you can see the influence, like you can see the autobiographical bits a little bit more clearer
Mhm.
after
Yeah.
reading a little bit more about it. But yeah, definitely really interesting. Really enjoying it. I really like the introduction. I think it really sums up a lot of how I feel about generally like relationships and marriage and heterosexual in particular like
Right.
context. Because that's
Right.
how I know relationships. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm reading. I'm really enjoying
I'm
it.
glad. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm excited to read that and Wifedom. I
hmm
think that's going to be a very interesting conversation.
Well, particularly interesting is that since I've read Wifedom and reviewed it and gushed about it, there's been at least one article that's come out that's pointed out a lot of the errors in there, or where the author has maybe taken a little bit too much literary license, and
Oh,
so
really?
it's interesting. So I feel like Wifedone's the kind of book that I want to see like how that shakes out in like a year or two. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Mm. Just a
But
little sprinkle of controversy there.
yeah, so but I still really enjoy the themes of what that book was talking about. This idea that there was a very fully formed woman behind
Yeah.
Orwell who kind of gets lost. Um, And, Monster's Dilemma talks about the same thing. I really
Mhm.
a fan or Monsters: A Fan's Dilemma is I really love that book. That was a standout
Mhm.
book for me. We just transitioned to our chit chat. That was like a standout book for the year.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of book you ever like read a book and you're just like shouting, especially nonfiction, and you're like, yes, exactly. Woo! Yeah. The whole time.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck the patriarchy.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I felt like the whole time I was reading that. And I feel like it gave the most nuanced and honest response to this idea of like separating the art from the artist.
Mhm.
That like you really can't, but you also can, and it's wholly personal. And it's
Yes.
so individualized, it's so nuanced, and it's a thing that we're forever going to be fighting about because of that.
Yep. As long as there's art, we will continue to have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's so many factors. It's like,
Mhm.
when do you find out about the thing? What is the thing? How does it affect? Like, there's so many things that go into your ability to be
Yeah.
like, okay, I can separate the art from the artist, and so many things that can't. Like, are they living? Are they dead? How
Right.
much?
Right. It's kind of
And
like how I no longer listen to R. Kelly, but I would still rock Michael Jackson.
I yeah,
You know
there's
what I'm
people who
saying?
won't do that.
Yeah. You
And
know?
like, it's really hard to like. I think like in the internet age, we want this like. It's much more black and white in a lot of ways. Like,
Mhm.
the internet, like, as the whole, as an entity, wants you to take a side and
Always.
be very black and white about it, and it's not often that way,
Most
and
things are not black and white.
it's really hard to, like, have conversation online a lot of the time when things are nuanced or when things are
Yeah.
subjective. I mean, the shouting that has been on just, like, certain videos of mine where people are like, "Your opinions are invalid because I like this book."
Like what? What does that even mean? What are you talking about? What are you talking
You're
about?
like
Do you know what an opinion is?
like,
Person? Do you
I
understand?
Like, I believe you're wrong, but I don't believe that you can't have that opinion,
Exactly. Exactly.
and
Keep
you're just
talking. I'm
gonna
coming.
disappear
Yep.
again.
Yep. Keep talking.
Um, oh, I don't even I hate we need to get you a new camera because I can't keep running this thing solo. I'm not good at this. I need banter. But, yeah, I I guess when Naomi comes back, what I wanna talk about is, like, our stand-up books for the year, things that, like, haven't left our mind. Um, There you are. I was just saying that I can't run this show solo, so I need you. I need the Bants. I can't do this by myself.
Yeah, I'm on the gross.
But
I flipped to the gross FaceTime video.
so
Yeah,
I want to talk about like what are those standout books? Like what are those things like that you keep thinking about or that have maybe made a theme for the year for you where like for some reason this is my year of reading
motherhood was
depressing
definitely a
books.
theme. Motherhood was
Mhm.
definitely a theme this year. Um, with Blue Hour and the nursery, and there were a few others. Um,
Well, the bookers seem to really like motherhood, especially international booker.
yeah, and unhinged women. How to love your daughter. My men. That was definitely a theme for me. Also, just like weird, gross, horrific books like Paradise Rot, Our Share of Night, heavy, still on my mind. I think Our Share of Night haunted me the most. I don't know what it was about that book that just like seeped into like my bones and my soul. And I thought about that book constantly. I had nightmares about that book. I I just and I intentionally read it very slowly. I started that book in November of 2022
Mhm.
and then I finished it January 2023. It's like I didn't want to leave it, although on a lot of levels it was like really just like shaking me.
Yeah.
Really like legit shaking me. Sometimes I felt very nervous reading that book. That book effed me up
I'm
and I
too
loved
scared to
it.
read it.
Everyone has a different reaction to it, right?
I know so many people that have hated it, and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
But I
I
was
don't understand
so
that, but it's like whatever,
amped
you
for
know?
this book, and,
Yeah.
like, now I'm scared, and that happens often that I get scared of an anticipated release, and it takes me, like, a couple years to actually go back to it, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm
Yeah.
ready now."
I mean, it is a really big read with a lot going on, a lot of political things going on, a lot of things with, family and death. It's a lot happening.
Mhm.
But god dang it, I just feel like what Mariana set out to do, I feel like she did it. I mean, because that book was just in me. It's still there. I think about it all the time. I do want to read it again. I would like to listen to the audio because I'm just curious of how it's
Mhm.
narrated and stuff like that. But that was a hell of a reading experience.
Well,
It
I'll
really
probably end
was.
up listening to it on audiobook, so
Yeah, yeah.
'cause I listen to,
But
like, everything on audiobook.
well, especially now with your night shift stuff. So, but
Oh,
I
because if
don't
I just
know.
try to read a book, maybe I fall asleep.
Well, yeah. I don't know. If you feel this way, I would assume you do. I feel like every year my reading life just gets better and better. I really do.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if I notice anything.
Well, I
I
don't know. I
think the
just
act of reading gets a little bit better every year because I every year I like the community I have around reading seems to get more lovely.
mm-hmm.
And I will say that I think I'm better at picking books for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of times, like right now, I'm in the middle of Iron Flame with my friend Roger, and I hate my life. And he's already done. And I said, Roger, I am listening to this on the drive to work. It will take me all month. I am not giving this any more of my time
You
than
thought
I need
Fourth
to give it.
Wing was so wait, this is the sequel to Fourth
Yeah,
Wing,
I
right?
thought I thought it
You
was
thought that was so
fun.
fun.
I thought
What's
it was
different with
fun.
this one?
It's not fun. It's melodramatic. It's too long. It's too much. It's it's just bad. It's not good.
Now this is
So
a five.
so
This is a planned 5 book series. Is that correct?
uh-huh. I think so, yeah. So, like, still the dragons are the best part, but here's something that's really irritating me about this. So, this is supposed to have this romance, right? I think you said this where, like, when you got to the like, romantic part, it felt so disjointed from the rest of it. It was like
See
2
my
adult
face?
mixed with the other. Um,
Yeah.
that continues, but it's like she's doubling down on that. And it's really weird because when Zayden talks about Violet, he even though it's not like great, the building of the romance and the chemistry isn't great. But when he talks about her, it's much more like mature and like valid like things you want a man to say about you or
Mm-hmm.
to you, right? When she talks about him, it's like he's just so hot. Okay, girly, like you need
Interesting.
more. I do need Robin Hobb in my life, and I have not started it.
You know,
That might be the first book of 2024 because I do need to just read Robin Hobb.
here's
But
one thing about the Fourth Wing that also made me feel icky was when the dragons are doing it, but like you can like see them or hear them or whatever in your head. Felt real rapey. I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
oh well,
I didn't like it.
I can't talk about the book on the internet because YouTube will be like, no. But the lady who wrote Ten of Vipers
Oh, that was a good time until it
wrote
wasn't.
wrote a or is in the process of writing a vampire erotica book.
Oh gosh.
I have the first one. It's called Court of Nightmares,
Oh
and
gosh.
I got to about 230 something last night, and it was something. And like it was so depraved, Naomi, that like so like all the girlies on Book Talk that are like, I love dark romance. I need them to read the scene and tell me if they cringe or if they're like, yeah, that's my thing. Because it is like it is
Wow.
wrong. Like it is so wrong. And like we read Den of Vipers and I never had this statement. I've read so many things that are messed up and I've never been like,
Wow.
I was like, I think I need therapy.
That bad? Oh my gosh. Look, just
Yeah.
take a picture of it and then send it to me so I can read it.
Yes, I'll find it for you.
Because
It's
I now I
bad.
have to know.
It's so bad, Naomi.
Okay, so what do you think about um romanticy is obviously like a real thing. Although I don't remember hearing that word like 2 years ago, but maybe
Oh,
that's
who
just
was talking
maybe it's
about this?
because it's
Someone
not
was
my
talking about this
bubble.
recently. Someone was talking recently. I saw somewhere. Maybe I just had booktube on the background. I can't remember who was talking about it, so I apologize. But they were talking about how like this word just basically got made up like in the
Okay,
last
so it's not just me. Because I
year or
was like, well,
two.
wait a minute. Like I'm not a romance reader. So maybe that word has been circling in that community for some time. And since I'm not a part of that, I could have easily missed it, right? But I was like, but I am a fantasy reader. And so it's odd that I've never really heard that word, prior to a couple years ago.
I think it could have maybe existed prior to a couple years ago, but not like maybe in small little circles. But now it's like it's a thing. It's a genre.
Well,
Like
you know what that means, right? I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm probably not. I think y'all are gonna be inundated with some crappy ass romantasy.
they're already doing it. What do you
But
think
like you think
freaking
it's going
Iron
to like
Flame is?
10 exit, ma'am, 10 exit for next year, 10 exit,
Okay, Grant Cardone or whoever you are that does the 10Xing.
10 exit. Like you're gonna get so much of it, and like, oh man, what are those companies like Illumicrate? Oh man, they're gonna be putting out those special. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. So like it's definitely like a newer turn in like the collective zeitgeist of
Yes.
the book community.
Yeah.
I think. I do have a romantasy box on order from from
From
Unplugged.
really, I'm
They
so
did a
curious
special
to
edition.
see what's in it.
Yeah.
I
But
keep
like I
trying to think, is A Curse So Dark and Lonely romantasy? Because
it would be.
it wasn't a whole lot of, I mean, there was romance, but like that wasn't driving the story. Maybe that's why I liked it so much. And there was also like no smuttiness going on.
I mean, I didn't like it at all, so
You didn't like A Curse? Did we talk about that before?
mhm.
Oh, maybe we did. Why didn't you
I
like it?
think
I can't remember.
I just didn't think it was that interesting.
I loved it. It's so fun. It was a good
It's just
time for me.
Naomi, why did none of your cameras work?
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. I think my laptop literally is gonna die. Um, people pray for it. Pray
I was gonna
for
say,
it.
do we set up a GoFundMe for Naomi's
Pray
camera?
for it.
Ghost huntings.
Pray for it. What was that? I don't know what I
I
just did, but
oh,
yeah, this is not my regular webcam. It's the stupid FaceTime. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't get into it. I like my fantasy dark, not in a dark romantic way, but like in a
they're
dark like we're
different
plotting to
things.
murder you to take your throne way. That's what I like.
Okay, but like, wait, romantasy and fantasy romance are different things?
Wait a minute. What? Who just said that? Wait a minute. Are you serious? Do
I
you know how
guess.
much you just blew my mind?
I don't
Wait a
even know how
minute.
you would draw the line between that.
Wait,
So then is the
because it was
difference
you,
like
Alyssa, who cleared me up when I said fantasy romance. You said no, it's called romantasy. Remember? And I was like, what is
I
that
just thought
word?
they made it you know how like you smush words together and you
Yeah,
make a cute new term? I just assumed it was
yeah.
like that, like clusterfuck, romantasy.
So who who's making the okay? Who is the genre name police?
So
Because
is one like it's mostly fantasy with romance and the other one it's mostly romance with fantasy elements? I
I am
One of
so
them is
confused.
apparently romance with hints of fantasy and the other is fantasy with the major romance in the plot.
Get the heck out of here.
I think we don't need terms for everything. I think we can
Yeah,
be paint some things with some broader strokes sometimes.
that's crazy.
Is Siri talking to us again?
Yeah, she said, yeah, that's what I figured.
I like when you have your red light on and the shadows on because up above you because it looks
I
like you're like
know.
a demon in hell.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, come on. Like romantasy and fantasy, that is like beyond confusing.
It's
No one
very
would just say,
confusing.
oh, yes, they must be two different things. No one would ever assume that. I can't
I
take
don't
it.
I I don't then what is Court of Nightmares then? That must is that like fantasy erotica?
Court of
Erotic
Nightmares.
fantasy? That's the thing that
Who's
I'm
the
sending
author
you a
on
picture
that?
of.
Oh, oh, that's the new Dinner Vipers lady's book.
Mhm.
Okay. This is
Naomi, it's
wild.
so raw. I was thinking about the scene again. That's gonna stick with me for the whole year.
I mean, heck, even Goodreads added a romantasy category.
I think they got pressure to separate that stuff out because a lot of it was getting mixed in with more traditional fantasy, and fantasy
It should
readers were
be
like,
separated out.
"I don't wanna go up against Sarah J. Maas. I don't think that you should have" I don't know what's his name, like Steven Erikson and Sarah J. Maas going up against each other. They're not the same.
Exactly. It's completely different.
Mhm.
Gosh.
Go ahead.
This is crazy.
You broke us. I don't know how to
I,
process this.
I don't know how to process it either. And I still want to know like who is the genre creation police? Maybe I should write a letter. Who's
Book
doing this
Twitter.
to us?
No, but does book Twitter even exist? Book X.
Oh, I don't even know. I've been off that app for so long. I don't know what's going on over there.
Oh, but I guess it does because that thing just came out about that author and the spamming of the one-star reviews.
Oh, the
Did
one
you
that
see
created
that?
all these multiple accounts?
Yes.
What like I need to know what's
What
wrong with
possessed
people.
people?
Yeah, like that's so stupid and it's just so irresponsible. And why would you think you weren't going to get caught?
Well, allegedly, from some insider information that I've heard about other authors, this has happened before. Not with this
God.
person, but it has happened before where people have done this. And then it does affect the sales. Because once you get like book Twitter or like book talk upset about something,
Yeah.
or like you say that there's something inappropriate in a book, whether it's really
Yeah.
there or not, you just need a few people to like feed into that, and then you can make a whole big scandal. I mean, like, hello, yellow face. Like, you
Yeah.
can, whether it's true or not, like, you can create that situation.
Yeah.
Fact is yeah, we don't know who has this authority. I would like to speak to them when I figure this out.
I would like to speak to your manager.
I'm gonna Karen you.
So, do you think that Book Talk is still gonna carry all this weight in the coming year?
Yeah, I don't think Book
Yeah.
Talk's going anywhere. I think that Book Talk, what Book Talk has done is I think Book Talk has brought more people into the reading space. Um, and I've been seeing a lot of new channels on BookTube that seem to be kicking off like crazy. And I don't understand how you've got like these people that have 6 videos, they just started a channel and they have like 10,000 people. And I think a factor in that
Yeah.
is Book Talk making reading something people care about. But I don't know how that helps people that have been around for a while that maybe are just small,
It doesn't
little slow
really.
growing people, but people coming, new
Yeah.
people seem to be really kicking off.
Yeah. I mean, I think for sure Book Talk has made, I think we talked about it before, Book Talk has made reading like the cool thing to do. So now everybody wants
Mhm.
to do it. Um, but and I have noticed recently that a lot of lifestyle YouTubers have created brand new channels that are 100% bookish.
Yeah.
So, and they all have the same story. I used to read a lot when I was a kid. I don't know if it's true. It feels very inauthentic to me, but look, I'm an old ass lady. I'm in my get off my lawn era. Okay. So I don't I don't really like sometimes I'm looking, I'm like, I smell BS. Like, I don't believe
Yeah.
you. Not that it matters, but also it's like you don't have to lie about it. If this is the first time you ever cracked open a book since high school, so what? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no street cred in reading. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It
But I also
absolutely
think
does not matter.
there's a lot of people that are kind of getting, because like on Book Talk itself, there's all these other uh niches of TikTok that are getting pulled into Book Talk, and they're all like, wait till the Book Talk girlies see the motorcycle guys, and like, or whatever it is. And
Oh,
then
that's
they
interesting.
start making content about like Book Talk. And it's not necessarily always
Interesting.
them reading, but it's like somehow take tangentially around Book Talk.
Right.
Or there will be like men who start reading the books that the Book Talk girlies are talking about. It's like all those really dark romances and doing a lot of reactions to it. And so there's
Oh,
a lot of crossover that's happening on TikTok itself, at least. that
very
At least
interesting.
we're not the only ones who've noticed this.
Right.
That
We're not alone.
um
They see it too.
so yeah, I think there's like a lot of influence still out of Book Talk for like into the greater community. So I don't
Yeah.
see that going anywhere.
I mean, I think that you have more drips of booktube viewing than I do because I avoid it like the plague. Because you know how
Book
TikTok
Talk.
is. Once you, what did
Mhm.
I just say?
BookTube.
Oh, yeah, I love booktube, book talk not so much. So I try not to engage in book talk because then I don't. That's not what I'm on TikTok for, and I don't want it messing up my algorithm. Like I like what I see with the non-bookish stuff. Like I have a whole other thing that I'm engaged in over there. So, um, I make sure that I don't touch the bookish stuff because then it'll
I mean,
just start inundating me with it.
yeah. Somehow I ended up on like, and I don't know how I got here. I was scrolling. Somehow I ended up, my algorithm decided that, you know what I need to see is Albanian neo Nazis. And I was like, what? How did we get
What
here?
is going on?
What about like books, food videos,
Wow,
dogs, picture things? I want to see this.
wow.
I had a
You,
whole mental
you
breakdown with Jess about it the other day. I was like, how did
You
we
know
get
what
here?
else it
Why is
is?
this here?
That's why TikTok is so tricky. I think the other thing is, I think that I don't want all of my social media platforms to be bookish. Like, I just
Yeah.
want TikTok to remain a book-free zone for me. I've already got the Facebook and the Instagram and the Lemonade, which I'm still enjoying over there. So I need like one space where it's not bookish.
The only place that is predominantly bookish for me is Instagram. Otherwise, everything is pretty jumbled
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have found a few good recommendations out of Book Talk, but they're so few and far between. And like, I've read a couple. How do you keep going away? I've read a couple romances
Yeah.
from Book Talk just because you keep seeing them. I'm like, fine, I'll see what's happening. Or like somebody's just like freaking out about this book, and I'm like, these are not good. And like,
Wow.
I feel like the more excited somebody is about a book,
Mm-hmm.
and the more videos I see about them on Book Talk, the
Yeah.
less I enjoy it when I go and I read it.
Right. Right.
And I don't think it's a function of like having high expectations or something like that, because I pretty much assume I'm gonna hate it, and then
Right.
I hate it. But it's just that they're not good. It's the books that I only see maybe a handful of times that I end up liking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You know,
now so many people are wrapped up in bindery that it's
really. So you're seeing the increase in
Mhm.
people. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Still suspicious of bindery.
Same. Same. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So over on the Lemonade platform, they've definitely realized like reading is a thing, right?
Mhm.
And so, you know, when you're
Reading is
in
the
that
thing.
app and you've got like like the hot topics at the
Mhm.
top, you know, fashion, beauty. Now one says reading. And now they
Depression.
have an official Lemonade book club with an official account. You know, they're having challenges over there for the bookish community. So they're definitely realizing that they better get on the bookish train. They have a bookish content creator program. So they're kind of beefing it up over there too, which is really interesting.
Well, I think a lot of people are frustrated with Instagram in general across like
Yes.
every like content creating area, because
Yes.
it's just I don't know how anybody grows on there anymore. I don't know how anybody like
I don't
I
either.
I don't know how any of it works anymore.
Whenever I
The only
see
thing that's really
someone,
good to me is how we communicate with each other on there.
yeah, yeah. Whenever I see someone on Lemonade say, I just created a new bookstagram, I'm like, good luck. You're going to be frustrated as hell. I
Because you
mean,
used to, when we started in Bookstagram, I feel like it was so easy to kind of connect with people, and
yes, the
you kind
conversation
of
was so
grew
rich.
and you kind of grew with people. Like you kind of
Yes,
found a little community, and then you all
that's it.
sort of kind of grew together,
That's
and
it.
people would shout people out all the time, and it was so much about like building
Like
together,
real
right?
community, like fostering your own
Yeah.
community. You're so right.
And that
You're
just doesn't
so
exist
right.
anymore.
That whole vibe is gone. And I really miss that part because it
Remember
used
like
to be
shout
really
out
fun.
Fridays, and you'd shout out a bunch of channels you love,
Yeah.
like pages you love, and then you'd
Yes.
find new people,
Mm-hmm.
or you'd find
Yeah.
people that you never knew, were following you. Like you
Yep.
like because they were like you were like, oh my god, and then you made new friends, and it was nice.
It
Simpler
was.
times.
It was a simpler time. Yeah. And now it's just, I don't know, Instagram, get it together. Part of the problem is, you know, they keep trying to be something that they're not. You know,
Yeah.
let TikTok be TikTok. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't think I don't think they're listening to all of their creators. I think they're just really nervous about losing their audience. Oh, SC asked if I would ever start a YouTube channel. No, because at this point in my life, I know that I can't be consistent in creating and posting videos like my dear friend Alyssa. See,
It is a lot of work.
I'm very honest with myself. I'm all about the podcast, but like that's kind of where my energy level stops.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And I know that I won't be consistent with it. So I would never do it knowing that I just can't go full hog 100% all the way in. So,
Sometimes I think that's why a lot of people who do have channels in this space do a lot more like um hauls and lists than actual reviews, because I think
Yeah.
it's easier to curate a list of books or
Oh,
haul a
for
bunch of
sure.
books
For
than it
sure.
is to formulate a review. And there's just a lot of work involved.
Yeah.
A lot of work involved. And don't even get me started on blogging.
SC, I don't know how Alyssa does it. I don't
I
know
don't
how
know.
Alyssa does it.
I don't have a
Okay?
life.
Seriously.
I don't have a life.
Yeah.
This is my life.
Yeah. You
But
know, it's
it's
like,
a
yeah,
lot, and
I'm at
a lot of
capacity,
people
man.
burn out. Eventually, you burn out. I think even like not that I
Yeah.
really watch because I don't tend to really vibe with his videos. Gavin put out something that had like an interesting title, like it was like BookTube is slowly, but doing BookTube full time is slowly killing me or something like that. I didn't
Mm.
watch the whole thing, but I think I watched for the intro clip. Then I was like, I just don't vibe with his videos. But anyway, so that was like an interesting thing to
Is he
say.
the one
Yeah.
that does the children's books? Is that
He
Gavin?
seems to used to read a lot of middle grade, but I don't know. I think he may have been
Okay.
moving away from
I could
that. I
see
have
his I
one
could
more
see his
writing
face.
vlog. I have one more writing vlog to edit. And I'm filming a reading vlog right now, and then I'll get back to writing. Because I do need to get back to writing, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
get through some of these books first. Um, I'm trying not to read as much next year, actually. I want to
Okay,
slow
stop
down.
right there. Stop it right there. Because I hear some people say that. And the
Mhm.
first thing I ask myself is, well, how the hell are you going to do that?
I just want to be like more intentional and slower with how I read things and try to keep myself from consuming stuff. So I want to go back to a reading journal and I have like a setup in mind. And I want to spend more time actually like engaging with the text. So like
Yeah.
writing more about like my experience of reading and like
Mm-hmm.
more like journaling day by day as I read.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will help me make reviews eventually of books, but I don't want to get so like a lot of times I'm reading 10 books at a time because I've agreed to read a book with you and I've agreed to read a book with
Yeah.
Roger and I'm reading like 3 books with like the people over in Plaque and it's too many things and sometimes I don't want to read them and I just kind of want to be more discerning and maybe DNF more
Yeah.
and all of that. Just it's not that like I'm gonna be like I'm only reading a book a week or something crazy
Right.
like constricting, but just more like I want to be more intentional and slower and
Yeah.
hopefully not
Okay.
read as many things as a result. So
Yeah.
yeah, he
Look,
got
look,
very oh
I read multiple books at a time and I'm only reading with you sometimes. So I can't even use it. I don't know. I never used to do that. I used to be strictly at max a 2 book at a time reader.
mhm.
And over the years, it has increased. And it doesn't mean that it's so weird though, because when I post like, oh, these are the books I'm currently reading between, people get like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. Like, whatever I feel like doing. Like, I don't have any rules around my reading. It's whatever I feel like doing. This is the stack I'm reading from right now. I may read between all these books tomorrow. The next day I may read between two. The next day I may read between it's whatever I feel. There's no reason.
I'm
There's
just
no set
realizing that I
rule.
said I would like to read less next year, and I'm really wearing a shirt that says "Read More."
Yeah, I feel like social media has made people feel like they have to make all these rules around their reading and have all these strategies. I just read, man. Like what like I just read. I don't put myself in any kind of a box.
Yeah, I just want to have more interaction with what I'm reading. I want to like annotate more, like just be more interactive with my books.
Yeah.
And that forces me to be a little slower. Like I'm probably still going to read what is a lot of books in a year, but I don't like, I just want to be a little slower and more intentional with it is more
That
like
makes sense. I
what I
definitely
mean.
understand the more intentional part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I just agree to do things. And I'm like, why? Like right now, why am I reading Iron Flame?
I don't know.
Like Court of
Oh,
Nightmares is messed up. But, like,
Yeah.
every so often, I'm just like, "You know what? Let's dive into this
Right.
little bit of, like, I need to go to therapy, and let me read this."
Right.
It's
Right.
fine to, like, listen to while I'm cleaning the house or something, you know? Like, it's more mindless, which is fine. Mindless things
Yeah.
exist. I love it. But, um, everything else I'm reading, I'm much more involved in, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be more involved next year. I want to
Yeah.
be able to, like, make better reviews. I just want more interaction.
Yeah. I get it. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Mhm,
I had to ask because I've heard, and I know it can mean like different things for different people, but I have heard
mhm.
some of the podcasters and other bookish creators say I want to read less next year. So
I think it's a lot around I think that a lot of the consumerism, and there's that whole discussion right now about, like, book talk making it, like, fast fashion, like, books and all that stuff. I think we're in a cycle of, like, kind of being a little exhausted. Like, there's so much, and especially if you're making content, this idea of having to, like, stay on top of, because even though, like, I read a pretty healthy mix between back and
yeah,
front list, there is still sometimes this pressure to read front list works, whether it's because you feel like you need to stay on top of new releases or something for whatever reason, or if just
yeah,
like people are reading them, so you get caught up in the hype or whatever. Um, that pressure can get exhausting. That grind can kind of get exhausting. And I kind of just want to not listen to all the noise. I kind of miss what reading was like before I made content, when you just
hmm,
read what you wanted to read and you weren't getting wrapped up in, like, what's the new thing? What are your friends reading? What's popular? What's going to
yeah,
make you have a video that kicks off, you know?
yeah,
And yeah, like, could I have read the Britney Spears biography, memoir, whatever we want to call it?
hmm,
Um, can it really be an autobiography if you had a ghostwriter? But anyway, um, if you, I could have read that. I could have made a video on it. I could have
yeah,
speed read through that. I could have done the same with Prince Harry, and I could have gotten like a big hit to the channel, like
for
boost to the
sure.
channel. But like, I don't want to read like that. I don't want to be a slave to bookish social media. I want bookish social media to like enhance my reading.
I think yes. I also think that you and I are very much aware that um we could have bigger platforms if we
Mhm,
read what everybody else read all the time,
mhm,
like all the time. Um, I've never wanted to be in that kind of a corner. I need to be able to have the freedom to choose what I want to read, and it comes at a price, if you will, because you don't get a really large following when you're not on the popular book train. That's fine. That's
mhm,
fine. I do think that I have a very fulfilling reading life because I'm not following the beat of the popular drum all the time. And like you said about being overwhelmed, that is one of the reasons why I don't ask for every book that's offered from all these
mhm.
publishers, because when you first get into that galley game, it's so exciting. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, this is not my job. I don't work in the literary space. I didn't know that was a thing. So when you get to that point, you're like, this is so cool. And you ask for
Yeah.
every damn thing. But then you quickly realize and understand this is not sustainable, and then you start asking for less. And even with asking for less, I still think I get a lot, but not like it was when I first started.
I feel like I asked for a lot in the last KDP though, because I think there was a lot of really interesting stuff in the last
Right.
KDP email.
And it depends on the season and the
Mhm,
publisher. Um, but yeah, you go from asking for saying yes to everything to being really selective on what you're saying yes to. Because
yeah.
I do want to read and talk about the books. I don't want them just sitting there forever.
I also feel like I've talked to other people in BookTube that have, like, bigger channels and that maybe have, like, a bigger community associated with them, and there's a lot of times where they just don't feel like reading anything or don't feel like reading the things that their communities want them to read, and, like, I can't read to the like desires of my viewers, because I don't read one thing. And like
Exactly.
I have film reviews for a romance duology. People don't watch me predominantly for for like a romance rec or reviews, but I want to talk about it and I'm going to put it out anyway. I just put out a video about a poetry collection from the Megan Fox poetry collection, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
people don't come to me for poetry. Like is it going to do well? No, it's not. But
Right.
people, most of the people that really watch my stuff are like reading between like lit fic and some
Lipstick.
fantasy.
Right.
And when if I diverge from those things, it doesn't do well, and that's fine. That's totally fine.
Exactly.
But I want to talk about it, and I don't want to feel like I can't. And I
Exactly.
know that there are a lot of people who read widely and like are mood readers, and will just be like I mean mood readers, not like sometimes I want a mystery and sometimes I want a different mystery. Like I like literally will read just wildly between genres and
Yeah.
formats and all kinds of stuff because it keeps me
Yeah.
interested. Like it is interesting to me, and I have different moods. I have different things that I'm capable of reading at certain times. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't read certain things at certain times because I'm just not like mentally strong enough to read certain things. Like I need the frivolity of vampire reverse harem, weird blood play things. Like I
Right.
just need that. I need that
You need that like I
for
need
my
my
mental health.
sci-fi. Exactly. You
Yeah.
need that like I need my sci-fi, you know? Like, yes.
And
Yeah.
like objectively, they're bad books, but for me, they work. They have a
Mm-hmm.
function in my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just enjoy tearing them apart with people. I read this
Mm-hmm.
one recently where and it's a booktuber content creator that wrote it, and they it's a masked person. I'm trying to you can probably figure out who it is, but like it's a masked person,
Mm-hmm.
and they have an online persona, but they also, they never show their face. And then they meet this woman like in both versions, like they meet like masked and unmasked, and then they both kind of have a relationship with her. And I just don't understand how she, like, watches their content while he's all masked up, and also
Mm-hmm.
has, like, a relationship with him unmasked and can't put together that they're the same voice. When all you have is a voice, like, how can you not put that together? But, like, there's another person that's in this, like, trio of masked people, and
Yeah.
she figures out everything because of the other person, like, what? Like, it's just so I was, like, losing my mind and, like, voice notes to Roger, like, but, like, it's fun, like, was it
Yeah.
good? No, but, like, I needed that ride. It's like watching Bravo, Like, I
Right.
needed that at
Yeah.
that moment in time. You couldn't have
Yeah.
handed me, like, I don't know, Lives of the Wives and been like, "Read this, Alyssa." I would've been like,
Like,
"No,
no, no, not right now.
my brain is not capable of this."
Yeah, not right now. Yeah. I get it. I get it. Wow. Very interesting. Yeah, I feel bad because for those larger content creators, especially on YouTube, I don't think you set out to basically have your audience like, drive and direct how and what you read, but then
Mhm.
like you get to that point and then you feel stuck because now you
Yeah.
don't want to disappoint your audience, but also
Yeah.
you're suffering too because you're not able to read freely without maybe losing subscribers or losing views and likes and all that kind of engagement. So that's a pickle.
Yeah.
That's
And
a
I just don't wanna
pickle.
play that game. So I
Yeah.
will keep plodding along with my tiny little channel and my
Yeah.
tiny little platforms, and I'll just keep reading because I've like, slowly, there's a tiny community of people that are
Yeah.
consistently following or watching or commenting, and it's you're what is it like? You build your what's like stupid cheesy things like you build your tribe or whatever, or you
Yeah.
attract your tribe or all that whatever.
Hmm.
Like
It's true.
there's normal people that are out there that are looking for people that are like them, and
Absolutely.
you're gonna find those people eventually.
Absolutely.
And maybe I'm not gonna be Daniel Green, but like, I don't have any intent on doing that.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Be happy with whatever you've got going,
Yeah, it
whatever you
works.
got going. Because I think at the end of the day, you need to really enjoy what you're doing.
It's a lot of
Otherwise, it comes through in your video, right?
yeah, and it's a lot of effort. And I think
Yeah.
I don't know. I like a lot of people make videos here and there about like the burnout and the exhaustion. And I'm gonna guess Gavin's video addresses some of that making your whole life about your hobby kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes monetizing your hobby is like the worst thing you could ever do.
It's why I say I'm probably one of the very few readers who does not want a bookstore. Like that is not my dream. I don't dream of having a bookstore. I feel like bookstores are hard, man. They're hard to stay in business. And if I had a bookstore, I actually would not be really concerned with picking the books. I'd be too focused on the business aspect. But
True.
it's not a dream of mine.
I would
I'd
have a
be
bookstore if I like had a lot of money and I could buy like an entire building in like a small town like Cold Spring or like
oh, okay,
somewhere where
that's
you have like a
different.
nice small town in America and I could just like have the first floor of my thing just be like
But
if I
that
didn't need it to be successful, I just did it because like I enjoy it and I want to like share books with people.
right.
Then I could do it. But if became something that I had to live off of, I don't think I could do it.
Right. Like that's a different business proposition. You buying a building, you having other businesses in the building that really support your store where you can just have it to have it. If it
Or
makes
even it's
money, it
just
makes money.
like
If it
your
doesn't, it doesn't.
building. Or even if it's just your building, you
Yeah.
live on the top 2 floors and the bottom floor is
Yeah.
your bookshop and you just kind of bounce back and forth. And, like if you're independently wealthy or, say in some weird world, YouTube
Right.
takes off and I can support myself with that. And then,
Right.
like, or something like that, where you do something from home, easy thing, and you can have this other side project that, you can do without having to worry about it being your thing that's going to sustain you
Right.
financially.
Right.
Also, this is America and we all need real jobs because of healthcare.
Hello. Hello. Need it. Yeah. Yeah. So
So,
I don't know. I'm looking forward to the new year. There are some reading projects that I'm starting that I'm excited about.
do you
I
want to share them?
sure they're not new, they're
You
old.
don't have to.
Yeah, I don't mind sharing. First, let me say that I did finish my Sarah Waters project and my Elizabeth Kostova project, and now I'm sad. Well, no, I didn't finish my Sarah Waters. I'm finishing my Sarah. I'm reading her last book that I have. Actually, it's funny. The very first Sarah Waters book that I purchased from a library sale called Night Watch is going to be the last book of hers that I read.
Oh, interesting.
Very much so. And I didn't know anything about Sarah Waters when I picked that book up at the library book sale. It just looked and sounded interesting, but then there's no more. There's no more Sarah Waters, and I'm devastated. Miss
Well,
Waters, grace us with another novel, please.
She'll write another novel. She's not dead.
I've checked out her website just to see if she wrote anything.
Just to make sure she's not dead.
Well, just like maybe she wrote an update to let us know what was going on. There's no word yet, but like I am like waiting with bated breath for Sarah Waters and Tiare Jones to give me a novel. So
may that happen. I'm waiting for Donna Tartt, man. The day Donna Tartt releases,
it should be time, right?
It's usually like every 10 or so years, and we're overdue.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So next year, I want to start my Zadie Smith project and my
I
Marlon
read
James.
The Fraud finally.
You did. I'm not reading it until I get through my other Zadie novels. So that's a project. Marlon James is another project. Finishing my Baldwin and my Morrison books is another project. And then getting to my Southern Gothic Lit project. So I have things baking for next year.
I don't know what I'm doing next year. I have to film that video. And I have like the things I don't want to do next year. Fully, I want to do a video where I talk about like goals, but also like what I'm not doing and what I want to do. And I'm still working on what I want to do. But I'm supposed to be once again attempting a no-buy year. And now in a much more strict. I didn't agree to this. I was forced into it by my friends. So I already asked them, there's a spreadsheet and everything involved in the shaming of everybody for buying stuff. So I asked if I should be put.
Hang on. When you say no buy, you mean like not just books?
No, just for books.
Okay, just for book. But you're a book thrifter like me. You're not even spending a lot of money.
I've tried this argument, but anyway, we need to move on. This is what my friends have done to me. But I um I do have too many books at this point in time. I do have to do like a mass culling again. But I do need to go see you. I think some of the reason why I feel like I'm overloaded is because I haven't seen you. So I haven't
Yeah.
unloaded. I usually put stuff on Pango, right? And then I
Yep.
see you and all this
Yeah.
stuff comes off Pango and then I fill up Pango again and then I see you and the cycle
Exactly.
continues. So I haven't seen
Exactly.
you. So we'll figure that out in the early part of the year because I
Yeah.
have to pick up another week of vacation somewhere because I couldn't get my early part of the year vacation. So I have to find one. But that's not
Yes.
the point
Another Sarah Waters.
of
Yes,
this.
SC.
But I'm supposed to be doing this new buy in this no buy, but I was like, what would you guys like me to put all of my pre-orders in now so that like you can yell at me now, or do you want me to like put them in as they arrive? Because I'm not getting rid of my pre-orders because they're
Yeah,
already
like cheat
there.
this book ban system.
They're already there. I will add, when do you want me to add them to the spreadsheet? Because
Oh my
they
gosh.
are coming because we have a new J. Kristoff, which I have the arc for, an e-arc of. We have a bunch of other
The new
things.
James S.A. Corey.
Yes, we have the new James S.A. Corey. We have like a bunch of new stuff coming out next
Yeah.
year. And I'm really excited, and I already have them in my pre-orders, and then they're just gonna like it's like when do you want to shame me? You want to shame me now, later, both? What you want? Like
Yeah. Pick
I
a
don't care.
time. Right.
I don't care. Um, where's like my pre-orders? Hold on. Because we've got that. We've got there's a new book called The Spell Shop coming out. It sounds really good. There's a third book in Her Majesty's Royal Coven, the final one coming out. Our
And I'm
friend
waiting for
Gabby has
that.
a new book.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Bardugo has a new book. There's more in the Lore Olympus. There's the Lore of the Wild, which I'm really excited about. There's obviously the new Crescent City. Like there's so many books I already have on pre-order.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when do you want to shame me?
Yeah.
I didn't read this one.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate
Aw, thank
your
you.
support. That means a lot.
We love the support. We love the little things we're
This is
building.
a little piece of bookish joy. I love TBR Lowdown.
Me too. It's not always easy to get stuff done with me being a creature of the night, but I
We
do
make
think
it work.
lives are really working well for us in general in terms of making stuff work.
Mm-hmm.
It does take a lot of the burden off of me for editing these massive files that take me like 2 days to edit because they're just so big, and
Yeah.
I don't have the like computer like that capacity to process some of our videos.
Yeah, the lives give us a break with the editing because I don't really edit the live audio because it's one file
Mhm.
versus when we do our regular recording, I have two files where I can like really edit. So it gives us both a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I have that. I have background files. I have like lower thirds. I have it's those
Yeah,
files when they're finally processed and done to put them up with HD is like a minimum of 10 gigabytes a file. That's a
right.
lot to process.
Yep.
Um, and it takes a long time. So I do appreciate the lives, and I hope that people don't mind us doing lives.
Yeah.
I think that they're also kind of fun because you can interact a little bit more as well.
Yeah. They still
And
go on the
just
podcast feed on
yep,
Monday,
yep.
but it
Everything.
is
But
another opportunity to engage with us.
yeah, and it's kind of nice sometimes to do stuff to talk about things more in real time
Mm-hmm.
because we pre-record so much that it
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like that shoots us in the foot a little bit because like we miss the opportunity to talk about something as it's happening as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like talking about it after the fact.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yes, for sure.
this is a nice little chit chat, nice
It
cash
was. It
video.
was. I loved it since I can't seem to finish Tentacle. So to be continued. To be continued.
I
It's going to
think
be in.
before we talk about Tentacle, you need to sort out your game.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on, man. This is just driving
Aw,
me nuts. Oh, thank you. Yeah,
yeah.
it's one of the great things that came out of Bookstagram
And the pandemic.
in the pandemic. Seriously. Seriously.
I still remember my dad the first time I was going to see you. My dad was like, "You better where on the internet? She's gonna
There are
murder
murderers
you."
on the internet.
How do you know she's a real person? I don't know, Dad. That'd be quite the deep fake if I talked to her on
Right?
video every day.
Every day, multiple times a day. I've seen her children. I've seen her grandson. Are they all deep fake?
She has government clearance. She's fine. Like, I know.
Exactly.
Did I tell you I had to do it? I have a friend who's getting higher Homeland Security clearance.
Uh-huh.
And I had to be part of the interview process.
Oh, uh-huh.
Waking up to a text message that's like, "This is Special Agent Brittany," and my buddy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've done a crime.
Yeah. Exactly, right? Mm-hmm.
That's quite the catfish. That's commitment if Naomi what like,
Right?
catfish me. Do you remember that time we like tried to get, you know how like the you get those like creepers in your DMs that'll be like, "Be my sugar baby." And that one time
Yes.
when like one of our friends tried to get them to have us all be their sugar baby.
Yes. Wild times.
Like, actually, sure. May I ask if you're welcome if you would be interested in my 8
Right.
friends?
Exactly. Plenty to choose from.
Sure, but I'm gonna need you to support everyone.
I come
And he
with
went
baggage.
away.
Yeah,
He went
yeah,
away.
yeah. Oh,
It
good
was a good
times.
time.
Oh, pandemic fun. I tell you.
Hmm. Anyway,
Oh,
do you
oh
have a book
man.
recommendation? Because I am getting hungry.
Oh boy, do I. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This is The Apartment by Ana Menendez. This is from this Counterpoint Press.
You
This
always
is
get books from
from
Counterpoint.
I love them. I love Counterpoint and Catapult.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the most interesting books I've read this year. So this is
Interesting.
a novel. This is like a novel of stories. This entire book is like a history of this one particular apartment unit, apartment 2B. And so, like, each chapter is a story about the people who have lived in apartment 2B. And so you're spanning like a century.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it's so interesting. I mean, I was so engaged in this book. We have a newlywed couple that moves into apartment 2B, and the backdrop is World War II. And we get to see how what appears to be a very loving marriage really turns quite ugly and dark. We have another set of tenants that move into apartment 2B. I think this is like shortly after 9/11, and it's a husband and his wife and his girlfriend who are all living together because they're trying to get US citizenship.
Hmm.
It gets wild. And then like halfway through the book, we meet this other tenant, and then you realize, oh, this is somewhat turned into a ghost story. It is just so fascinating, and it's also so beautifully written. But you're getting this whole history of like the world through the eyes of these tenants that have occupied apartment 2B. Now, what part of Florida was this in? Miami? Yes, Miami Beach.
I agree.
South
I
Miami
love this
Beach.
concept. I totally agree with this.
It was just like, it's kind of riveting. I loved it so much. I kind of want to like just start it all over again, because the people are interesting, their dynamics are interesting, and you just don't know what you're going to get. But just having this history of this one unit in this building was just extremely captivating. Highly recommend it. The Apartment by Ana Menendez.
It's definitely an interesting framework to hang your story off of, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. And even when it like sort of became a ghost story, like it didn't feel off-putting or out of place, or it wasn't like this like sharp turn that kind of threw you off. It was just so smooth. The entire thing was so smooth. I loved it.
Well, I don't think that it does sound really good. I don't think that I've talked about this on here. I know I've talked about it like generally, but I don't know if I've ever recommended it. And that's The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. I don't think I've ever spoken about this, and I'll read you the back and then we'll talk about it like a little bit. Christopher John Francis Boone knows all the countries of the world and their capitals and every prime number up to 7,057. He relates well to animals and has no understanding of human emotions. He cannot stand to be touched, and he detests the color yellow. The improbable story of Christopher's quest to investigate the suspicious death of the neighborhood dog makes for one of the most captivating, unusual, and widely heralded novels of recent years. I love this book. One, because it's told, our narrator is this boy with autism or somewhere on the spectrum, and it's a very interesting narrative voice. One, there's a lot of anxiety in it, and you can feel that as you're reading it. And as someone with anxiety, it feels very, or like just really rushing thoughts in their brain. It feels very relatable in a lot of ways. Even not being autistic, there's just, if you have a lot of racing thoughts, if your brain's never quiet, it really feels relatable. And it's really like this story sort of coming of age. It's hitting on a lot of things that like a couple Booker books hit on this year too, about like a child trying to reconnect with their mother, trying to understand the dynamic of their parents, and maybe why things aren't the way that they thought they'd be or they should be. Somebody with a neurodivergent brain trying to fit into a neurotypical world or to understand neurotypicals. It's beautifully, beautifully done. And I love it. There is the murder of a dog. So if you're not here for that, but it's so good. I mean, it's obviously short, but it's honestly like this perfectly crafted story. And he's so into math that there's like all these, like everything kind of gets related back to math, and there's numbers and like mathematical problems and all these things that he kind of uses to process the world. And it's just so interesting to see how he processes things as he's on this journey to figure out what's going on with the dog. But then there's also this whole side thing about like him understanding the world around him, his parents, life, how things have kind of been like, how they've gotten to the where they are, like how his life made it developed this way, I guess. It's really, really interesting. You do need to get it. It's so good.
This is one of those books where I've always seen it and I never knew what it was about. I don't think I've heard anyone talk about it, but I have seen it. I know that book, but I never knew what it was about.
So I feel like it takes a little bit of like All the Little Bird Hearts from Booker and a little bit of Boat, and you've got themes that both of those authors are looking at in here, but like this is obviously older and better than both of those books. But it's definitely like something it feels like people are exploring more, I guess is my point, in literature, especially having neurodivergent narrators tell you the story. And I think it really helps people who are neurodivergent feel seen in literature, but I also think it helps people, neurotypicals, maybe understand how neurodivergent brains work and how people think. And I also think it can make it difficult for neurotypical people to get on board with the book sometimes, because you're not understanding maybe why the narrator is fixating on something, or you end up finding it annoying, whereas somebody else would find it relatable or understandable. If that makes sense.
Yes, it
Really
does.
Good book. Really,
yes,
really
it
good
does.
book. I think it's one of Daniel Glover's favorite books, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah.
Well,
look at that right at the end, your stupid camera.
Look, I was gonna say something before we get out of here. Let me just tap on book adaptations really quickly. Do you plan on watching Elena Knows and Leave the World Behind?
I was planning on watching Elena Knows with Jesus tonight, and because it's in Spanish, right?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm a subtitle girl.
because I was gonna I'm enticing him into watching it because it's gonna be in his native language. And
Okay.
then I was planning on watching Eileen. I was gonna try to get him to go to see Eileen with me, but I hadn't planned on Leave the World Behind, but I can.
Did you read that book?
Mhm.
Leave the World Behind? Okay. All right.
I think
Maybe
I
we
thought
can
it
have
was
a
fine.
I really liked it. I mean, I read that book in
I
one
don't think I
sitting.
really I didn't have, like, a strong opinion either way, like, it was good.
Yeah,
Like,
I liked
Elena
it.
knows and even Eileen, I didn't have a strong opinion on, but I really wanna see how they do this.
I wanna
Um,
see how they do it too. I'm
I hope they
curious.
make it more unhinged because I just don't feel like it was unhinged enough.
I mean, well, we talked about it,
Yeah,
Eileen was not really the unhinged one, not really.
yeah.
It was another lady.
Oh, you know what? Because sometimes comments do bug me. So somebody commented on something when I said I made a short about, like, preferring Young Mungo to Shuggy Bane for a lot of
Uh-huh.
reasons, but also, like, if you're gonna have a book named Shuggy Bane, it could be about you could make it more about him. This is
Uh-huh.
a lot about the mom, and I was
Mhm.
like, no, it's about Shuggy Bane." I was like, "No, like, you're not getting it." Like, Young Mungo is very much centered on Young Mungo. Shuggy
Right.
Bane is very much centered on his alcoholic mother and how that affects Shuggy Bane. Like,
Right.
that so, like, am I crazy? Am I misremembering this?
No, you're not you're no, you're not. You're square on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
See the
still have not
reassurance.
felt the desire to read Young Mungo, but that's because Sugar Man was such a disappointment to me because it was a very highly anticipated book that well, you know how I felt about that. But Leave the World Behind was great. You know what I liked about Leave the World Behind? It just kind of like it just left you to sit in your feelings. And I like that. I like when a book just is like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Good, sit in it. I enjoy that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this all plays out in the adaptation.
It definitely felt like a Jordan Peele movie while I was reading it. It has that,
Mm,
like so I wonder what
yes.
the I now I'm kinda curious about now that I'm thinking about this. Now that we're talking about it, I'm more curious about
Yeah.
reading it or watching
Yeah.
the
These are gonna be
dramatization.
my weekend watches. That's why I wanted to ask you if you had any plans on watching them because that's a part of my weekend plans.
I'm going downstairs, I'm gonna heat up my Factor meal, and I'm gonna try to make sure Jesus stays awake. Maybe I'll give him a coffee because it's, like, his bedtime now, and
Yeah.
I'm going to make him watch
Yeah.
Elena Knows with me. Not that he's gonna care about it, but that was the plan for the night.
Thumbs up, thumbs up. Yes, that is correct. The Obamas did produce it. Indeed. Because they do have that Netflix deal. All right. Is
Alright.
that it? We're gonna wrap it up
That's
now.
it.
All
That's it.
right.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Thanks for tuning in. Follow us everywhere at TBR Lowdown. Visit our website, tbrlowdown.com. That's going to do it for us. We're out of here. Bye.
Bye.